At the end of week 3, more experts took to the stand, and one of the stars of the day was the Dehydrator, a dehydrator that Erin Patterson lied about dumping at a local tip. Put simply, Crown Prosecutor Nanette Rogers asked whether the DNA fingerprint of a death cap mushroom had been found in debris taken from this dehydrator.
The results of the testing, using the various tests that were available to you, including the genome sequencing and the barcode sequencing, indicate the presence of Amanita phalloides DNA in the item set out in this table.
That's correct, in samples 4 and 7 of the dehydrator.
It was a day of technical evidence, but we're here to take you through it. I'm Brooke Grebert-Craig, and this is The Mushroom Cook. Day 13 of Erin Patterson's murder trial is done, and I'm back with court reporter Laura Placella. Hi, Laura.
Hey, Brooke.
It was a short day, wasn't it?
It sure was. As we've mentioned before, court on Friday finishes at 1 p.m, so everyone gets to go home early.
So this will be a shorter episode, but rest assured we'll have a subscriber episode that will go live on Sunday, so stay tuned for that one. Now, let's move on to what we heard today. At the top of the episode, you heard an exchange between Dr. David Lovelock from Agriculture Victoria and Crown Prosecutor Nanette Rogers, and they were talking about the dumped dehydrator. Their words, but not their voices.
And just to remind our listeners, this is the dehydrator that Erin has admitted to dumping on August 2. So this is about 4 days after the lunch. We heard from witness Darren Canty a few days ago, who manages the tip. He told the court that he received a call from police around August 4, making some inquiries about this dehydrator. One of Mr. Canty's employees searched the bin at the tip, found the dehydrator, and then that was later seized by police. After police took hold of the dehydrator, they have taken samples from it, and then these samples have been sent off for testing.
Some of that testing was carried out by Dr. Lovelock. And Laura, can you explain to the listeners who he is and what he does?
So as you mentioned, Brooke, he's from Agriculture Victoria and he's a diagnostician. He received the samples from the dehydrator on August 11. And he ran a series of tests with people from his team. The court heard today that he examined 7 test tubes, which were each filled with samples from the dehydrator. He was asked about the results of these tests that were conducted, and he said that 2 of the 7 test tubes came back positive for Amanita phalloides, which is, of course, death cap mushrooms.
The jury also heard that he examined other things relating to the meal, including leftover beef Wellington, a jug of gravy, and a fruit platter.
And this marked another chapter in the journey of the leftovers. To remind everyone, the leftovers have gone from Erin's bin at her home, to Leongatha Hospital, to Monash Medical Centre, to the Royal Botanic Gardens office, to the home of mycologist Camille Trung, and then at this point we hear they've arrived at Dr. Lovelock's lab, most likely at Agriculture Victoria.
Yes, they've definitely made their way around the state.
And I failed to mention that at some point they've then gone to the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine by the end of August. So we'll wait to see if there's any other stops these leftovers make along the way. But for now, the court are hearing that they are at Dr. Lovelock's lab on August 2. He told the court that 2 samples of these leftovers were tested and neither came back positive for death cap mushrooms.
But he did say that he found white butter mushrooms and beef.
That's correct, but he didn't just test the leftovers and the debris from the dehydrator. As you said earlier, Brooke, a jug of gravy and a fruit platter also made their way to his lab. He said that he didn't need to run any tests on the fruit platter after observing it himself. But the jug of gravy was examined and no traces of death cap mushrooms were found.
Laura, you said earlier by August 29, the leftovers had made their way to the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine. One of the forensic toxicologists who works there returned to the witness box today.
That's right. It was Dimitri Girostamoulis. He was back in court today for cross-examination. And he was asked a series of questions by defence barrister Colin Mandy about the test results that came back of all of the samples taken from the lunch guests, as well as Erin and her children. Our listeners may remember that yesterday, Dr. Grebert-Craig was asked a number of questions around the amatoxins present in these samples. Specifically, these are death cap amatoxins called alpha-amanitin and beta-amanitin.
And what did he say about Don Patterson's samples?
He told the court again today that Don's samples came back positive for both alpha-amanitin and beta-amanitin.
And that was in his urine, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And what did he say about the others then?
So he made a point today of explaining to the jury that amatoxins are less detectable in blood samples than they are in urine samples. The court heard that there was no urine sample from Gail Patterson, so the tests had to be run against her blood. And it was for this reason, he explained, the results came back showing no presence for either alpha-amanitin or beta-amanitin.
Mr. Mandy suggested to him that a person's ability to recover from the ingestion of poisonous mushrooms would depend on several factors. What did he say about that?
Yes, Dr. Grebert-Craig agreed with Mr. Mandy that a person's general health, their age, their weight, and even their toxic response could weigh into how they would recover from the ingestion of poisonous mushrooms. He also agreed that the amount of mushrooms consumed and even the concentration of the toxins within the meal could play a role in their potential recovery. After he gave these answers in cross-examination, Crown Prosecutor Sarah Lenthal had a question for him in re-examination. The first time she asked this question, Mr. Mandy actually objected and the jury left the room. But later in the course of proceedings, Mr. Mandy said he would withdraw his objection and the question was asked to Dr. Grebert-Craig. This is the exchange between Miss Lenthal and the witness. These are their words, it's not their voices.
If two adults with no serious pre-existing health conditions consume the same amount of the same meal, which contain death cap mushrooms, and one person dies, what would you expect the health outcomes to be for the person who did not die?
Yes, there would be likely that there would be some adverse outcomes for that person who survived, the severity of which may vary depending on some of the factors that I've previously spoken about today. But we have had examples where two people have consumed the same meal, and more recently, this happened last year here in Victoria, where one person passed away and the other one was significantly ill for a period of time and ended up in ICU. So it is possible, but it will depend on how much is eaten, the person's response to that amount of toxin as well.
And that was the end of his evidence. Thanks so much, Laura, for pronouncing Dimitri's surname for me. It was a bit of a hard one.
All good.
And that also brings us to the end of today's show.
See you next week, Brooke.
This is a Herald Sun production for True Crime Australia. It's presented and reported by me, Brooke Grebert-Craig, and Laura Placella. Reporting and presenting for our weekend subscriber-only shows by Anthony Dowsley. Interning for us is Jasmine Geddes. Our executive producer is Jordy Atkinson. The Mushroom Cook is produced, written and edited by Jonty Burton.